Hello and welcome back to Loose Arrow Games. Today is going to be a new type of video that I haven't done before. It's going to be my own deck text for my commander decks, which I have a lot. If anybody was wondering, inside of these are pretty much all of my decks. All of those up there, that's going to be all my decks. There are about 12 in this one, and I think 4 or 5 in this one. Which, very different, but I have a lot of decks, and what I do is I like to go through my bulk and build my decks out before I actually pour a lot of money into them. Either way, I have a lot of decks, and I'm going to try and explain each one of them, as well as put the link in the description for the deck list of each deck. Now let's go ahead get into my first one. This right here was my first commander deck ever built. Captain America First Avenger. It was probably 2 or 3 years ago now that I built it, and I was lucky enough to get this while I both A, had a constant flow of money in, and B, I was able to get the entire bundle of Marvel Secret Lairs for $300, which was nice because it was either buy the 2 I wanted for about $150 or just buy them all, which I'm glad I bought them all because, well, I've at least tried to make a deck of each one. I kind of failed on Wolverine. That one just didn't feel kind of fun. And I haven't actually built a deck for T'Challa, but you know what? It's currently in my life gain deck. So there's that. Anyway, Captain America First Avenger, throw, which I barely use, but I do use it. It's really funny. I want to get the Lightning Greaves from the Mexican Heritage Secret Lair. I'd really like to get that for this so I could throw chanclas at people. Anyway, so the tokens that you're going to need for this one is going to be this Doretti emblem, some treasures, which I don't have 2 of those, and then Inklings, which I'd recommend probably more than... Actually, no, you really only need these 2, because one for tapped, one for untapped. Let's put those up there. So first thing first, every deck needs card draw, which I don't have a lot of. I really do not have a lot of card draw. I got the Wondering, which is really good card draw, but it's not the best to only have 3. And then I pulled this Thrill Possibility out of a Spider-Man collector pack, which it looks really nice, and it's Marvel, so it's on theme. Which most people who know how to play the game are going to know Thrill Possibility is a very good card engine, or card draw. And then Wondering, play it, tap it, draw a card, on upkeep, untap it, or on untap, lose a life, tap it, put a second counter on it, draw 2 cards, untap it, take 2 life. That's something that is very good and why it's a game changer. And if you guys hear anything in the background, just know that it is my dogs. I'm not about to lock them up for this, and by lock them up I mean, of course, put them into my room, because we live in Arizona and it's hot outside. Anyway, so SRAM is going to be probably the best one for this one, because of whenever I cast an aura, equipment, or vehicle spell, I draw a card, which there are not a lot of auras in this, but there are some, so being able to draw cards constantly is going to be good for really any deck, and somehow this is all I have for card draw. Next up is going to be tutors, which I have the same amount. I got a Steel Shaper's Gift that I got on day 1 for Marvel, an Enlightened Tutor that I got at Phoenix Fan Fusion for, I think, like $18. Really wasn't bad. And then this Stoneforge Mystic that I got before I even had Captain America. I really like how this one looks, and if I get a second one, I'm going to get the other borderless one and put it into my Cloud deck. Anyway, this one right here is pretty good because, search for an equipment card, put it into your hand after revealing it, and then you can pay 2 and tap it at any time to put an equipment from my hand onto the battlefield. Which, very good to do, is being able to find all your stuff. Let's see, next up, ramp. Everybody needs to be able to cast their spells. And because we're not in green, ramp is kind of hard to do. So we got Enthusiastic Merchant, or I always say that wrong, it's Mechanaut. I don't know why I always say it like that. Just one less. It's not exactly ramp, but it does make stuff cheaper, which is very nice. After that, we have Sword of the Animist, which is going to be an equipment that actually gives pretty good stuff. Crystal Skull, Easter Spygrass is here because it's that, but mostly you're going to want this because you can cast historic spells from the top of your library. Archaeomancer's Map puts stuff into my hand and then puts 2 planes into my hand, and then whenever somebody plays a land, if they have more than me, I get to play a land from my hand, put it onto the battlefield, which is not as good as Burgeoning, but it's still mono-white ramp. And then, of course, Soul Ring. Every deck has to have a Soul Ring. There's barely any decks that don't want it. Bender's Waterskin is great because it untaps every upkeep. Arcane Signet here, Earth's Mightiest Emblem. Get to add 1 red, white, or blue. Eternity Elevator is actually a bit of a weird one for this. 5 mana, add 3 colorless, nothing new there, but we really want to be able to station this, which I can put Captain America, if he's like a 20-something, I can immediately station it to be able to immediately add this in and add a lot of mana of a single color, which can be really good in a deck that is mostly colorless. Gilded Lotus here, really beautiful on that one. I bought the entire Final Fantasy pack or not pack, but thing, just so I could get this, and I also used a lot of the cards because, well, I would have just bought this separately if I wasn't going to use any of the cards. Dakalos, pretty good for equipping stuff because automatically gives them flying and haste is really good, and it adds 2 colorless that you can use to cast artifact spells or activate the abilities of artifacts, which is really nice. I might actually... Nah, I'm not going to put that into my other deck that would fit that. And then final one is going to be Codsworth. Commanders have Ward 2, which you want to protect your commander in Voltron, because if you don't, you're just dead. And that's just how that works. Add 2 white, spend this mana only to cast an aura or equipment, and then you can tap it to also attach an aura or equipment to a creature I control. So if I have an aura on the field that is attached to something that isn't Captain America, or if I have something on Captain America and I want to change it, I can do that with this, which is very nice. And that is it for the ramp. Next up, I'll go with my Planeswalkers. So I got 2. Obviously, I got Daretti because I showed you guys the emblem over there, which sack an artifact, return 1 from my graveyard to the battlefield, which is really nice. And then I can get an emblem with whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return it to the battlefield at the beginning of the next end step, which is really good because I'm going to show you guys a combo that I have, including this card, next. And then my other one is the Aether Spark, which I pulled this day 1 for that. I pulled this from an Omega pack, actually, from Barnes & Noble. I spent way too much money on Aether Drift. I thought it was going to be a much better set, and, well, I probably should have just bought something to try and get the Chrome Mox rather than buy like 5 gift bundles. Which was my bad, but it happens. But still, I did get this from an Omega pack. Which, this one's nice, because it's a Planeswalker and an equipment. So I put it on. Captain America here can just equip that immediately to him, so I don't even have to use the plus to do it. And then Captain America does some damage. It gets a lot of counters on it, and then I can immediately add 10 mana of any one color, which, again, very good ramp. And I'm going to keep this one here for now so I can show you guys that combo I was talking about, which this combo is kind of creative, I think. It's really nice. I like it. So the main part of this is going to be Esoteric Duplicator, which is whenever I sack an artifact, I can pay 2, and then at the beginning of my next end step, I get to create a token that's a copy of it, which is really nice, because if I'm able to get this ulted, I can say, let's see, what's something I don't think I have anything out right now that I can do. Actually, probably, yeah, I can let's say I sacrifice this right here, I can pay 2, I get a thing of it, and then this one right here says that this just comes back immediately, which then I can sack this again, pay 2, get it back, and then keep on doing that to get a bunch of them, which is really nice. Another one is going to be, you need ways to actually be able to sack your stuff. So, Iron Man is one way to sack my artifacts, because I can do this one right here. He can't sack that, it has to be a non-creature artifact, which does kind of suck, but he is also a tutor. So I can sack, he creates a treasure, let's say I sack the treasure, I can search for a soul ring. And then next turn I can sack the soul ring, search for an arcane signet, sack the arcane signet, search for any 3 mana artifact that I want on the battlefield, which is pretty nice. And then finally we got Furion, which is the main combo here. So equipped creatures I control have haste, already pretty nice for this. And then whenever a non-token equipment I control enters, I create a token that's a copy of it, except it has sacrifice this, or this equipment equip abilities cost 2 less, and then I sacrifice the token at the end step, which if you notice, it doesn't have sacrifice the token, it just has I sack the token. So this sacks the token, so if I sacrifice that at my end step, I can pay 2 right here, and then I can get a copy of it during my opponent's end step, which is going to be pretty nice. That is just my favorite little combo that's in there. I've never been able to do it, but you know what? This is Commander. You almost never get to do anything. You either do everything or you do nothing. No in between. And this is, of course, a blue deck, so there has to be some counterspells. I don't have a lot. Some people would say this is a lot. I don't say it is. Dovin's Veto, uncounterable counterspell for non-creatures, pretty nice. Essence Scatter, which I do have it like this. The actual card is underneath, but so I do actually have the card underneath there, but I thought this would be funny, so it's there. And then I have Permission Denied, which I 100% have in here because I think it's funny, because this is 100% my favorite scene from Jurassic Park. I find it hilarious. And then also it stops non-creature spells, so if I use this right here, I can counter, say, if there's a storm deck, I can counter something that they do, and then it shuts off their entire turn if they don't have a response. Which, if they do, I have Dovin's Veto to stop that from happening. And I also have Mana Drain, which, really nice card. As a lot of people know, just counter a spell, and then I get amount of colorless equal to it on my next main phase. So, let's say I counter somebody's Duretti, I'll get 4 colorless mana on my next step, on my next main phase, which colorless mana in an artifact deck is always nice. And then my final one is just an offer you can't refuse. Counter a non-creature. I don't have a lot of counter creatures in here. I have 2 to 3, I guess, because this one has to be non-creature, this one is non-creature. This one's just any spell, so I guess it's 2 to 2, but still. A lot of times I'll just do a 1 cost and then counter my own spell, which gets me 2 treasures, which it's nice to have 2 mana of any color that you can just give yourself. Especially if it's during someone else's turn, so you can, like, say, in a commander you have 4 people. Let's say the person right before you ends their turn, you can cast a 1 mana thing, like Enlightened Tutor, but you already have everything you want, but you don't have the mana to cast it. You can just an offer you can't refuse to it, and you use 2 mana to get 2 colored mana, and then you untap everything, and no harm, no foul. Those are my counter spells because, well, blue deck. I'm going to put this one right here. Actually, I'm going to put it over here. Alright, next up, I'm going to do my lands last. Let's go with this pile. I don't know what this is. Mostly removal. Mostly. So we got Vanquish the Horde, which I pulled. I'm probably going to put a better one in here because not that great, but still, 1 less for each spell, or each creature on the battlefield, which more often than times than not, I'm going to have 1, 2, maybe 3. So, and I'll have probably ways to keep them alive, like indestructible, or facing them out or something. Actually, I don't have a Diffuser's Protection in this one, so not that one. But after that, we got Path to Exile, which it goes in every white deck. There's no surprise that this is here, let's be honest. Cyclonic Rift. Like I said, I actually use the cards in the Final Fantasy thing. I used to have a different Psych Rift in here, but I realized I liked the one that was in here more than this one, and I have a deck that I am trying to bling out with all my favorite arts, which the better one is in there now. And then Flawless Maneuver is not a thing, but if I have this in my hand when I cast a board wipe, I can immediately give all my stuff indestructible until end of turn, which, very nice. Makes it one-sided for pretty much the same amount of mana, so for 2 mana I can possibly do a one-sided board wipe, which is really nice. Put that right there. Next up's going to be my utility pile, aka I don't know what to do. I don't know where to put it. So, first off, we got inventory management, which, of course, you know, I get for each aura and equipment I control, I can attach it to something. So, say I just had to cast this again and I don't have enough mana to equip everything to it, I can just 2 more mana, everything's on there, and now I have a gun. Really nice. Ghostly Prison. Really good card, you know. Stuff can't attack me. Makes it really hard to be able to remove me, which the one problem with Voltron is that you tend to be very, very vulnerable to people. So this right here helps you not be vulnerable. Land tax, which I'm probably going to take out. I don't know what for, but I'm probably going to take out land tax. A lot of people do know it, though. Beginning of upkeep, if somebody controls more lands than me, I get to search for up to 3 basic land cards and put them into my hand, which, not exactly ramp, but you know what? It's still ways to get land into your hand. So if this is in your hand and you have only 1 white mana in your hand, you can just play this anyway. That we got Forum Filibuster, which is recursion. So at the beginning of your upkeep, you create a 2/1 Inkling and then attach an equipment from your graveyard to it. An aura or equipment. Attach that to the thing, so if somebody does, say... Actually, I don't know what the artifact only one is, but I forgot it. I know it's not Fumigate. But if someone destroys all artifacts, you can just play this and slowly get them back. Obviously, it's kind of slow, but oh well, it's better than nothing. After that, we got one of the best cards that you're going to want in this deck, which is Sigarda's Aid. You can cast Aura and Equipments with Flash, and then whenever an equipment I control enters, I get to immediately attach it to something. So, like I said, Captain America can automatically equip stuff, so if this enters right here, the Aether Spark, while this is out, I can just do it, and then I can immediately do another +1, I guess. But obviously that's not what you're going to do. You're going to do that, attack, and then do that. So it's the same thing, but you get to put another thing in there. This just gets rid of the middleman of him. We got Fighter Class next, which is actually another tutor, so I put this in the wrong area. So it's tutor, and equip abilities cost 2 less, and then whenever a creature I control attacks, up to 1 target creature blocks it, which You're almost never going to put this up to level 3, but if you need to, you can. But mostly you just want these first two, which 5 mana for this is kind of big, but you know what? It's not that bad. So I'm just going to put this back into the tutor pile. After that, we got Pure Steel Paladin, which is also going to be a card that you're going to need in any white deck that has a lot of equipment. Just if you control 3 or more artifacts, equipment have equip 0, which pretty easy to do if you have 2 treasures and literally anything else. Really, really easy to do that. That we got Sami Wildcat Captain, which spells I control have affinity for artifacts, which very obviously my colorless spells are gonna want to be, brought down. I'm saying very obviously a lot. I feel like I probably shouldn't be doing that, but you know what? My vocabulary is small sometimes. Anyway, affinity for artifacts, really good. See, I don't think if I have 2 artifacts, this is just free, which then I have 3 artifacts, which is really nice. It itself does not have affinity for artifacts, but that's fine, because there's a lot of ways in here to get a lot of mana really quickly, if you're lucky. So we got Nahiri, Forged in Fury, which has affinity for equipment specifically, not just artifacts. So if I have this out and this in my hand, say I have 2 equipment on the field, I can just play this for 2 mana, which really nice. Whenever an equipped creature I control attacks, I exile the top of my library, and I can play that card this turn, and equipment spells from top are free. So if I have multiple equipped creatures, say if this has, say, Lightning Greaves on it, and then that has other stuff, and that has other stuff, and I attack with all 3, I can exile the top 3 cards in my library and get basically 3 extra card draws and possibly some free stuff, which is really nice. After that, we got Armored Sky Hunter, which also kind of just a way to get free stuff. I look at the top 6. Whenever this attacks, look at top 6, put an aura or equipment from among them onto the battlefield. If an equipment is put to it, attach it to this creature, or to a creature I control, put the rest of them on the bottom of my library. And the reason why it only says if an equipment is because auras have to be attached to something. So you put it on there. You can actually, another thing too is it gets past hexproof. So if you have an aura that's like, say, imprisoned in the moon, you can put that down and you can shut off somebody's commander that has hexproof or ward, and you don't have to pay it. Which, a little weird, but you know what? That's how it works. After that, we got this Thor, God of Thunder, which I'm trying to get another one so I can put this one into my binder for the collection, because this is the scene art card, but I don't have another one. Pulled this out of my first booster box of this. I want to get another one, but I don't know when I'm going to be able to. Which, this one's nice, it's just another recursion. So, exile an equipment, instant, or sorcery card. So, if I don't have something and I have, say, a tutor in there, I can just exile the tutor, play the tutor, and then whenever I cast a non-creature spell, this deals damage of that mana value to any target. So, say I cast the One Ring, this will do 4 damage to somebody. I cast Fighter Class, this will deal 2. Enthusiastic Mechanaut, it'll do 2 again. It's really good stuff. And then from the new Hobbit set, I got me a Dwalin Weapon Master. First strike, and then whenever he enters or attacks, I put a hone counter on each equipment I control, which in a Voltron deck is going to be a lot of equipment. And then each hone counter on equipment grants plus 1/0 to the equipped creature. So this enters, I do Lightning Greaves, it immediately attacks. That's plus 2/0 for every equipment that is attached to something, which is really good. After that, we got Mystic Forge, which another way to just take cards from top of my library and play them. but only if it is a colorless or artifact card, which, well, colorless non-land, because all lands are technically colorless, which also kind of weird. And then pay 1 life, tap it, exile the top card of my library if it's not something I want, not something I can cast, or just I don't want it. That we got Masterwork of Ingenuity and Sculpting Steel, which both of these are simply to copy stuff. Which, yeah. My favorite thing to copy is actually in the next pile that I'll show you, and I'll go ahead and tell that to y'all when we get there. Put this one over here. And the next one is going to be my auras and equipments. Not in any particular order, so yeah. Super Soldier Serum, flavor, mostly, but it is also just a pretty good card for this, because whenever it attacks or blocks, I can attach any number of equipment I control to it, so, and it gives vigilance, so attacking and blocking comes naturally. For that I got Super State from the Sonic Secret Lair, which is just, it has base power toughness 9/9, flying, first strike, trample, and haste. So this alone makes it really good. Let's see. And then whenever he deals combat damage to an opponent, this deals that much damage to each other opponent. Now that's not going to count as commander damage because, yeah, it's only strictly combat damage that is commander damage, which is really good. Don't want to have this be the only thing people play. Which is also the reason why commander damage is a thing, because if it wasn't, life gain decks would be the only thing there. Next up we have Mantle of the Ancients, which is also recursion. So enters the battlefield, I return any number of, so Captain America, Mantle of the Ancients, all of my aura and equipment come from graveyard onto the battlefield equipped to Captain America. Just a 5-mana way to get a gun. And then it also gets +1/1 for each aura and equipment attached to it, which is going to happen. After that I have Mjolnir, Hammer of Thor, which I believe I actually pulled one of these on my thing. This is a different one. I actually got this Mjolnir in the same booster box I got the Thor. It was a really good booster box. So, enters, it turns into removal, it immediately double, and then I can immediately pay 1, attach it to Captain America, and then suddenly everything is just fine. And also the equip-worthy one, that just means it has to be a white or red legendary creature, which there's a lot of those, including Elish Norn, the villain of villains, which is weird because, well, equip-worthy also says it can't be a villain, so it can't be, like, say, Loki. And then you can also pay 3 mana to discard it and deal 2 damage to each creature. So 3 mana for a slightly worse, actually significantly worse, Blasphemous Act. So obviously you're never going to really want to do that unless you have it in a deck that wants a lot of things to die. Like a Aristocrat deck, for example. Next up we got Basilisk Collar, which 1 mana to equip Death Touch and Lifelink, which really good, as you could probably guess. Swiftfoot Boots, 2 mana, equip 1 Hexproof and Haste. Excalibur, Sword of Eden, costs X less, where X is the total mana value of historic permanents I control, which grows pretty quickly. I mean, if I have Captain America, that's immediately 3, which, by the way, Historics is legendary spells, artifacts, or sagas, which there aren't really any sagas in here, but still. Plus 10-0 and Vigilance, so not a lot of defense, but a lot of attack. And then I can immediately equip it for 2 to a legendary creature. Plate Armor. This is the card right here that I was talking about. This is the card that I like to copy because the equip ability costs 1 less for each other equipment, which if I copy this, each of them immediately have equip 2. And then if I copy it again, each of them have equip 1. And that's turns into a really cheap way to give basically Ward 3 and plus 9/9. Which I think is really nice. Next up, we got the Silver Shroud costume, which, when it enters, I immediately attach it to something. It gains Shroud until end of turn, which means that nobody can target it, even the person who controls it. But that's only for one turn, and then equipped creature can also not be blocked. And it has Flash. So for 2 mana, you get a Shroud unblockable creature, which, very good. Of course, that doesn't get past board wipes. After that, we got our first Captain America shield, Shield of War and Peace, which protection from red and white, and then whenever it deals combat damage, this deals damage to that player equal to the number of cards in their hand, and I gain 1 life for each amount of card in my hand. Which, again, I don't have a lot of card draw, but I'm hoping that I'm able to actually have a big hand, because everybody wants that. Leyline Axe. Good card to have in the beginning of your starting hand, but if it's the only thing in your hand that's good, don't take the hand. When it's in your starting hand, you can just play it for free. And then equip 3, equipped creature gets 1/1, double strike, and trample, which is very good. Mjolnir Stormhammer, the second Mjolnir. This one right here is just, when it enters, I attach it to a legendary creature I control, and then whenever it attacks, I put a stun counter on it. Or I put a stun counter on a defending creature, which taps it, and then it can't untap during the next one. And then this deals damage to each opponent equal to the number of tapped creatures that opponent controls. So if somebody swung out with Craterhoof and a bunch of creatures and somebody fogged, you can just attack somebody there. So you can just attack that person. Mjolnir taps one of their creatures, or just puts a stun counter on it, and then you get to basically win, because those people always have like 100 different creatures, which 100 damage to each opponent is really good. But it is 4 mana and an equip 4, which Captain America only wants. Doesn't care about this half the time. To that, we got us Adaptive Omni Tool, which is just a simple 1/1 for each artifact I control, and then. But it is specifically artifacts, not just equipment, which is nice. And then, whenever equipped creature attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You can reveal an artifact from them and put it into your hand, and the rest go on the bottom. Then it's also an equip 3, but again, that doesn't matter half the time. Commander's Plate. One of the best cards you can have in a deck with less colors than I have. So it gives it protection from everything Captain America isn't, which at this point is black and green, meaning it can't get targeted by, can't get blocked by, and can't get dealt damage by sources of that color. And it also gets 3/3. Really nice art on that too. Next up is going to be a Foundations card that not a lot of people seem to actually play, being Celestial Armor. 3 mana, flash. When it enters, it equips to something, and it gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. And then also just in general has +2/0 and flying, which, very good. I once won a game because I flashed this out on somebody else's, on the other person's turn, and they didn't realize it had flying now. So they wasted all their mana, wasn't able to do anything about it, and then I just kind of won. After that, we got Captain America's Shield. Our second Captain America's Shield. Which, indestructible plus 08 and vigilance. A lot of vigilance in these, that's nice. There's a blocker up. Whenever equipped creature attacks, I tap another creature that player controls. So if I have this and the Assassin's Creed Mjolnir, I immediately am able to deal 2 more damage, basically. And also makes it harder to block. After that, we got Embercleave, which it's never going to be very cheap, but it does have a way to have it be cheaper, being it costs 1 less for each attacking creature I control, which at most is going to be maybe 1 to 3, which is still enough to make it a 3 cost that gives 1/1 double strike and trample when it enters and equips to something. Very nice card. Next up, we got the third Captain America Shield, Sword of Fire and Ice from the Marvel Superheroes set. I also got this in my booster box. It was a very good booster box. Equipped creature has +2/2 and protection from red and blue. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, this deals 2 damage to any target, and I draw a card, which I probably could put that in the card draw, but yeah, I'll just put that over there. After that, we got Mithril Coat, which flash, indestructible. When it enters, I attach it to a legendary creature. A creature has indestructible. It's a flash Darksteel Plate, which Darksteel Plate's a good card. This is a good card. This was one of the first upgrades I made to this deck. Because even my new brain to this knew it was a good card. Next up, we got Key to the Vault, which is actually the Thunder Junction Bundle promo. I wish I had the dice for it, but I accidentally threw it away and didn't feel like going through an entire thing of trash at a restaurant. And then, yeah. Equipped creature deals combat damage to a player. Look at that many cards from top of library, and then I can exile a non-land card from them. I get to then cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost. Then it's equipped 3 and 2 mana, which it is equipped for blue, which kind of sucks, but still. Again, you really only need 1 because of Captain America. After that, we got the Reaper Cleaver. One of the other... This was actually in the first draft of this, because my buddy was like, oh yeah, this is going to be a good card for this. And I was like, oh really? And I was like, I read it and was like, oh yeah, that is good. Equipped creature gets 1/1 trample, and whenever this deals combat damage to a creature or to a player or planeswalker, which that's a big one, create that many treasure tokens. It's that's ramp. I don't know why it's not in my ramp pile. Probably because I just was like, oh, equipment, put it in the equipment pile. And our final one's going to be Aether and Prywed. When comboed with Basilisk Collar, this is a very good card. The good creature has base power and toughness XX, where X is my life total. Which, if you still have the max 40, you have this on there, and Basilisk Collar, you're immediately gaining another 44 health. Or no, 40 health, because it's base power toughness. Which, yeah, you know, really, really good. It's basically a life doubler if you have lifelink on it. Really nice card. And that's the final bit of those. So next up is going to be my lands. I'm just going to go ahead and go through the basics first. So I got a bunch of mountains here. Got me 1, 2, 3, 4 mountains. Which I got the Kamigawa one. Everybody loves the Kamigawa ones. And then I got 3 of these. Which these are also really nice. After that I got plains. Being that one, the Kamigawa one, another Kamigawa one, different one. And then this plains again. So I got 4 plains. After that is the islands, which I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 islands, which I could probably swap one of these out for a red. But I got 2 of the Kamigawa ones, the Foundations one, and these, which is a very beautiful card from Edge of Eternities. Then I also have this Phyrexia All Will Be One that kind of just appeared one day. I don't remember where I got it, because I started on Foundations. And then finally the Command Tower, which everybody just kind of has. And if you notice, I also did those in the form of red, white, and blue. Because, yeah. Alright, next up is going to be lands that you should have in here, which I have. I'm missing one of them. Sad. But I don't have all of them, which are going to be your artifact lands. There's, of course, the duels, which all enter in tapped and are indestructible, but they do count as artifacts. So when you have affinity for artifacts or stuff that wants to count your artifacts, these are good. And on top of that, most things care about non-land, or specifically say non-land cards. So like destroy target non-land artifact, destroy target non-land permanent. These right here are going to be good against those, which obviously they also have indestructible. One bad thing about them, though, is they do get hit by Farewell, which really sucks. And then there's Great Furnace and Ancient Den, which are just untapped artifact lands for 1 color. I'm missing the blue one. I don't have it. And every time I find it, I don't remember if that's the one I have or not. Which, yeah. So that's the artifact cards. The artifact lands there. And next up's going to be just my other dual/utility lands. Which first one we got is Sea of Clouds, which is a really good one. Enters the battlefield tapped unless I have 2 or more opponents, which in Commander you almost always will. Monumental Henge, which is enters the battlefield tapped unless I control planes, and I can tap it to add a white, or I can tap 4 and tap this, so basically tapping 5. Look at top 5 of the library, put a historic card from among them onto my hand, rest on bottom. Not the greatest on that second half, but still, it's nice. And if I need to use it and have the extra mana too, I can. After that, we got Inventor's Fair, which, beginning of my upkeep, if I control 3 or more artifacts, gain 1 life. Really nice. Add Colorless, not as nice. 4 and tap, so again, basically tapping 5. I sacrifice this, search my library for an artifact card, reveal it, put it into my hand, then shuffle. Activate only if I control 3 or more artifacts, which again, kinda meh there, but if you need to search for a card, you can. Next up, we got Clifftop Retreat, which just enters in untapped if I control plains or a mountain, which I have a lot of those. Flood Farm Verge. Verge lands are all really nice. Best things to come out of Duskmourn and Aether Drift, in my opinion. Especially Aether Drift, but I don't know about Duskmourn. Just tap, add for 1 color, and then if I control one of either of those colors for their designated land type, I can tap for the other color, which I have a couple Verges in here. Mystic Monastery, this is the only tri-land I have. Tri-land, triome, however you want to say it. Enters tapped, adds 1 of all 3, which basically just Command Tower, but worse for this deck. Otwara, Soaring City. This is a really good card. I pulled it out of not just a collector pack, but the first collector pack I ever bought. Which, add 1 blue, and then mostly you're going to want to be discarding this card. So pay 4 mana, discard it, return target artifact, creature, enchantment, or planeswalker to its owner's hand. So, really nice. And then if I have Captain America out and some other legendary creatures, it's going to be less. So, bouncing at instant speed, and it's an ability, so it's a lot harder to counter. Really nice. Here's one of my Aether Drift ones, my Riverpire Verge, which apparently this is the most expensive one, which does make kind of sense, but at least not this version, but the full art version is the most expensive one, but out of all the Verges, this is the most expensive, which is nice, but ultimately, I'm using it, I'm not getting rid of it, so what? Evolving Wilds, sack it, tap and sack, aka crack it, search for a library, or search your library for a land card, basic land card, put it on the battlefield, tapped, shuffle. Starting Town, also pulled this. Add a colorless, pay 1 life, add 1 of any color, enters tapped unless it's my 3rd turn of the game. Really good, because this is Commander. You're going to have ways to get more life. Next card is going to be Boros Garrison, which is going to be coming out of here as soon as I get Spectator Seeding, which is the Commander land, meaning enters tapped unless I have 2 or more opponents. As soon as I get one of those, this one's coming out. And then my last one's going to be this Shockland, Sacred Foundry, Mountain Plains. Enters tapped unless I pay 2 life, which, again, life is never really that bad. So anyway, this is my deck text for my Captain America deck. This is not exactly my favorite deck, but it is definitely, at the very least, my opinion, a pretty good deck. And this is also completely my deck. I built it from the ground up. Woo. Anyway, once again, please remember to like and subscribe, and also, don't forget to have a great day.